Today we're going to be talking about the 24 to 70 millimeter f2.8 RF lens from Canon. And me being a portrait photographer, I've been actually going to prime lenses, for the longest. I find that with prime lenses, I also get sharper images, and it's just a thing that I always like to shoot portrait with prime lenses. Now, I've been shooting a lot of that work with this particular lens right here, the 24 to 70 millimeter f2.8, because I feel that I'm getting almost the same quality that I'm getting with my prime lenses, but I'm also getting something that I don't have in most of my prime lenses for the RF lineup, which is image stabilization. Now, we're going to talk about why I love this lens so much recently, the quality of this lens, and also we're going to be reviewing some images in Lightroom of my recent photo shoot with Lulu. Let's talk about it coming right up. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Cnaon right here. And remember the Sony A7C giveaway. I don't want to bore you with that, but if you want to enter, subscribe to this channel right now, enable notifications, and go follow me on Instagram and Twitters. I'll be making the announcement on December 24th or maybe the 25th, live on Instagram or Twitter or maybe here. That's why go follow me everywhere, and good luck to you guys. Alrighty, so let's talk about what brought you to this video, the 24 to 70 millimeter RF lens f2.8. And I gotta admit, the first thing that I want to say is that this has been the best 24 to 70 millimeters that I ever used. And you guys know that I'm mostly a Sony shooter, and the 24 to 70 from Sony G Master, it's immaculate, great quality. But this lens has a slight advantage over that lens, actually a couple of advantages over the Sony version that we're gonna talk about right now. But first of all, I wanna actually talk a little bit about the specs for those folks that love numbers and stats. So let's start about the construction of this lens. This lens features 21 elements in 15 groups. Yes, it's a lot of glass inside this lens. And again, this lens is actually not that light, not super heavy, but yes, there's a lot of glass in this lens. And when talking about the aperture, we're gonna have a 9-blade aperture. Remember, the maximum aperture you're gonna get is an f2.8. So with that right out of the gate, let's actually talk about the construction of the lens. And this is something where this lens actually shines over, I believe, the G Master. Number one thing, the construction is actually plasticky, kind of like the G Master lenses, but this one looks a lot more premium than the G Master lenses. Now, the other thing that I love about this lenses is the functionality and the friction of the rings. It's not a lot of friction and it's not too loose. So you're gonna find the zoom ring right here, right on the back. That's gonna be the first ring, and it's actually pretty big and has a nice knurling, very, very comfortable. Right in the center, we're gonna have the focusing ring that by far is way superior when comparing it to the G Master version, which is has a lot of friction. Now, this one is actually really, really nice. Now, it reminds me a little bit of those fluid head from tripods. It has kind of like that feel where you stop and it has a little bit of ease, and you go in the other direction and it has a little bit of ease. So really, really nice. The next thing that you're gonna notice in all the RF glass is that we are gonna have this ring right here. You can hear it. It's actually ratcheted that you can actually customize for a lot of functions. Now, when I got this lens, I got my Canon EOS R, and I remember setting this for the ISO or the aperture, I don't remember. But again, you can actually configure it to anything you want, and it gives you, an additional configurable dial if your camera doesn't have one, like an RP or a Canon EOS R. This one has the red ring around the lens. That means that this is an L glass type of lenses, and L glass is the utmost quality that you're gonna get for full frame lenses for Canon. So with that right out of the way, let's actually talk about some of the switches that we're gonna find. Number one, we're gonna have the main switch right here. And this one is the in-body image stabilization or in-lens image stabilization switch, where you can actually activate or deactivate the image stabilization. Now let's actually stop for a moment right there, because this is going to be an advantage going over this system, over the Sony. If you really wanna get one camera, one lens, this lens actually has image stabilization, and it's gonna make your life a lot better, especially if you have a Canon EOS R or an RP. Those cameras don't have in-body image stabilization, so this is gonna allow you to stabilize the footage. Now, the advantage that you're gonna get if you own a Canon EOS R5 or a Canon EOS R6 is that now you're gonna be able to pair both image stabilization. So you're gonna be able to pair the lens image stabilization with the image stabilization of the body, basically getting up to 8 stops of image stabilization. What is that gonna mean for you? It means that you're gonna be able to handhold the camera and shoot at a much slower shutter speed. I managed to actually shoot with this camera shutter speed 2 seconds. So that is actually really impressive, to be able to handhold the camera for 2 seconds, fire the shutter, and still get a pretty sharp image. So that's that. We're a little bit closer right now, and we are going to go through some of the images that I shot not too long ago. This is Lulu, my wife, and the first thing that I want to mention is that I actually used a color profile from this website called colorfidelity.com. And the reason why is because Lightroom doesn't have camera profile built in Lightroom. So, you know, what you're gonna get by default is this Adobe Color, which it makes the image look completely like doo-doo. And, you know, I've been struggling with that until I found that guy. So let me show you how to enable it. First of all, you know, you go to the website, you know, you just buy it, you're gonna download a file, and then you're just gonna add it here. They have a tutorial how to do it, so follow it through. And then they are gonna appear right here. User profiles, and as you can see, I have landscape, I have color fidelity medium, portrait, neutral, and standard. Now, when I compare these color profiles with the one baked in the JPEGs, it's very, very close, guys. So I recommend, if you're gonna spend all that time white balancing your shots and, you know, getting the colors right in camera, that you actually get this color profile, because it's gonna give you the most accurate representation of what you shot that day. So I use color fidelity medium V3 right here, and it is at 100%. And let's actually start zooming in and see the quality of this image. Now, right now we are 4:1, which is super, super close. You know, we're starting getting a little bit of pixelation in the eyelashes. Probably 3 would be actually better. 2 over, there you go. Look at the quality of the eyelashes. Look at the detail of the eyes. You can actually go even further into the eye. And like I was mentioning before, even when it pixelates, you still retain a lot of details. You can even see the grid of my key light right here. You can see some of the catch light from the reflector. Now let's actually go to the other eye, and this one obviously is a little bit at a different plane, but I'll shut this image at f7.1. And then later on I corrected that to f8. You know, I felt that it was a little bit better. But let's actually check out the hair right here. See all that detail of the hair. Let me bring the image actually at, there you go, 2:1 right here. And look at all the quality of the earring. And once again, you know, you can tell that here we have barely no color fringing, you know, very slight red right here. And I really gotta come really close to see it or zoom in really much. But other than that, you know, it renders super crispy quality. And this is one of the reasons why, you know, I've been loving this lens, because, you know, one of the reasons why I shoot with prime lenses is, well, number one, you know, I get 85. This one caps at 70 millimeters. We're gonna talk about that in just a moment. But also, you know, because you can shoot with different apertures, especially if you're gonna shoot outdoors, you can go even wider at f1.2. Now at the studio, I actually crank my aperture at around 8, you know, 8 or 11. That's where I like to shoot. So shooting with a wide aperture lens, you know, doesn't have any advantage for me at the studio. And the other thing is because prime lenses, you know, they usually or mostly they render sharper image quality than when shooting with zoom lenses. Now, with this lens, you know, the quality from a prime lens and the quality from this lens itself is almost identical. I mean, I don't see why I wouldn't use this lens and maybe use the prime. So because of that, I've been using this lens, you know, very, very, very much. All right, so let me actually show you another image. Let's go to this one right here. It's a little bit different posture right here. Let's actually continue examining these pictures. And these are all raw files. There is no blemish removal or anything like that. So this is how the image came from the camera. And yes, indeed, I tweak a little bit the sliders right here, but for the most part, you know, I haven't even messed with the curves or with the HSL color right here panel. So everything that you see right here has been, you know, mainly tweaks with it. Number one, color fidelity, which by the way, you can actually increase the amount of profile, you know, that you get in the image. It's kind of like vibrancy. It acts like that. I try to keep it slightly above the 100, which, you know, if I reset it, 100 is the default. So, you know, you can go a little bit more, you know, depending how you like it, and I like it right there. So once again, right here, actually, let me crank the shadows a little bit more so we can actually take a look at some of the fabric texture. And remember, this is being shot at f8, and you know, I'm aiming for the eye, as you can see right there. And apparently this is almost at the same plane, but look at the quality of the fabric right here. You know, it's really, really incredible. Now let's actually zoom out and let's concentrate right here in the hair. And once again, you know, you start telling that the hair is a little bit out of focus right there, and it starts gaining focus as it comes closer to the screen. All right, so let's take a look at this image right here. And once again, this is just opened up in Lightroom, color fidelity at 135. Probably this will require a little bit of color grading, but let's take a look right here at the eyelid and all the specularity that you can see right there, how sharp is rendering this. Look at all the eyelashes, look at the colors of the eyes. Look at actually all the hairs, you know, look at the resolution, even though right now we are in pixel mode, because you can see all the serrated edges of the hair, and look how much contrast we have right here, how much white we have, and there is not color fringing. Now, again, this is one of the reasons why, you know, you're gonna love this lens. It's super clean. The image quality out of this lens, super, super, super clean. So let me show you this other image right here, and this one is one image that I actually edited. But once again, look at the resolution of, you know, the image. Take a look at the leaves right there, and again, we're in a different focal plane right there. Look at the hair, look at the eyebrows, look at the eye. Like, you can tell everything so well in this image. I mean, you can tell details that you wouldn't even know that they exist. And even on the finger, you know, all the texture of the skin is very, very, very sharp. So this one has been my overview of the 24 to 70 millimeter f2.8. I hope you guys had enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions, let me know. Now, my advice, if you can actually spare the change, go for this lens, especially if you are gonna try to get a lens that is going to replace, you know, multiple primes. Even though you're not gonna be on the f1.2 top of, you know, aperture, f2.8 gets you a long way. It also gets you a very nice shallow depth of field, especially when you're at the 70 millimeter end. And it's a really nice lens to have either for videos or photography. You won't regret this lens. Let me know if you want me to test anything else with this lens. Let me know what you think about the images. And until then, see you in the next video.